What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. We have some fun stuff to go over today. This Bowsette thing seems to be taking over the internet, and there was a lot of people possibly pointing to the stock being affected by it, which is interesting because it actually went up, which we'll talk about that and if that's actually a thing that affected the stock. And then we also have to go over Telltale because more and more info is coming out, and if you were upset that something like the Walking Dead series appears to be canceled, well, there might be light at the end of the tunnel, and we're going to go over all of that today, including an IP that a lot of people may have forgotten about, but Monolith, they want to bring that back. First, though, let's get into some of the quick news, starting with Rocket League, which has now crossed 50 million players. Yeah, that's a lot of people playing Rocket League. Well, probably not all at once. I think it's just over time, just not concurrently, but just in general. People have downloaded because it has been on things like Xbox Live, I believe, Games with Gold at times. I think it's been on PlayStation Plus. It's been all over the place. Rocket League is a fairly popular game. Everyone's probably at least seen it or played it any one time, but still, they announced on Twitter that they have hit 50 million people. That's pretty big. I don't know if they're ever going to move on from Rocket League, though, as they continue to, do microtransactions and loot boxes and all kinds of stuff in that game. So while I don't know if a sequel will ever happen, and this legitimately is their games as a service for good, it's cool to see that a game like this, that's really just RC cars driving around knocking a large ball into soccer nets. Also, we may have found out where all of those PS4 Pros were going. Now, if you missed this, there appeared to be a shortage of PS4 Pros. In fact, a lot of people were even sending me messages on Twitter saying they couldn't find any, and that I would look in my local stores like a Target or Walmart, and I didn't see any PS4 Pros. It was a weird situation. Well, we might know what was happening now, as maybe Sony was holding back some of the stock to get ready with a Red Dead Redemption 2 bundle. As you're seeing here, they did announce it. Now, it doesn't really look any different, which is why I was thinking maybe they were holding it back for this, but it does look like it's going to come with Red Dead Redemption 2, has the marketing on the box and everything, but it is coming to US, EU, Canada for $399.99 USD, and then Europe will also get a slim PS4 bundle, so you have the 1 terabyte and then the 500 gigabyte as well, and I guess it's just a good way for people who do not have a way to play it yet. Maybe you don't have a PS4 or an Xbox One, or you're thinking about upgrading to the Pro, but you're thinking maybe I'll wait for a bundle. This seems like a pretty good bundle, especially if you missed out on the Spider-Man bundle, but you're a big Red Dead Redemption fan or a big Rockstar fan. This seems like an easy way in because you're not spending any extra money on the game. It's going to definitely move systems very well, so Red Dead Redemption, while it's coming out at the end of October, will definitely have a large impact on the MPDs for that month, just in general. We'll see if it can climb the charts past Call of Duty, which I don't think it will for October, and then I also don't think it'll win November either, since there's Pokemon in there, but it would be interesting to see Red Dead never topping the MPDs with just bigger games around, not bigger games, but games that are technically debuting in 2 different months, whereas Red Dead Redemption is going to be split between 2 months. So it'll be interesting to see, but there is a bundle out there you can get ready for. And then Telltale put out a statement on Twitter that seemed to give a lot of people hope, because it sounds like Walking Dead, which was probably their more popular series, it definitely catapulted them into getting into more series and just success in general. I think that was one of their biggest issues. They expanded very quickly and didn't really ever hit that Walking Dead success that they had. It doesn't look like that game is just going away, as they kind of had to cancel the final series, the final season, and people were really sad and frustrated that they weren't going to see how really the story plays out, since that was broken up into seasons and episodes. Well, they put out this statement here on Twitter saying, "Hi everyone, we have a Walking Dead update for you. Multiple potential partners have stepped forward to express interest in helping to see the final season through to completion. While we can't make any promises today, we are actively working towards a solution that will allow episodes 3 and 4 to be completed and released in some form. In the meantime, episode 2 will release tomorrow across all platforms as planned. We hope to have answers for your other questions soon." Has anyone seen THQ Nordic? No? Okay. There's a chance they could be one of them. There's probably a whole bunch of publishing partners that are at least interested, because The Walking Dead is the popular series, of course. That's the one that people still buy into, whereas I do think everything kind of slowed down as they got towards the end of their studio, the life of the studio. But The Walking Dead is one that I think people would buy into just to see how the season ends, or at least, a lot of people would watch it on Twitch. All right, guys, some of the quick stuff out of the way. Let's jump into some of the bigger stuff, starting right away with Bowsette. Now, if you missed this online. I have no idea how that happened because it is everywhere. It's all over Twitter, definitely, but it's also on forums, message boards, websites, you name it, it's there. It's all over the place, and it blew up in about 3 or 4 days. And just a quick backstory, there was a comic strip that was put out, as you're seeing here on Twitter, where basically they play into the idea of that crown that was shown in the new Super Mario Bros. U that's going to the Switch that turned Toadette into Peach. It was a little different, though. It was kind of a take on Peach, obviously showing that Toadette transformed into Peach. And then you see this strip here where Bowser takes the crown, puts it on, and turns into what's now being called Bowsette, or Bowser turning into a form of Peach, essentially. And this was put out on Twitter by Hanawa, and from there it blew up, and it's all over the place. People are doing drawings of Bowsette, and it's just going absolutely insane. I'd be curious if Nintendo will ever have any kind of nod towards this. I'm going to assume no, because of some of the nature of the drawings online. There's a chance that Nintendo doesn't want to lean into that, maybe just ignore it, but it is fan art, and you never know. Maybe that they throw like that, the more tame costume into one of their games at some point in time down the road as like an alternative costume. Anyway, this did take over the internet, and people were looking at Nintendo stocks and realized something. Nintendo stocks went up around the time that this comic strip came out and started to blow up, which was around September 20th. Actually, as you're seeing right here, it appeared to jump about 2 points, and that made people confused. Well, really, if you look at this, I think the Bowsette thing is just kind of being linked just because it was around when this jump happened. No, I will tell you guys right now, the market, specifically investors and all kinds of people that really get into this kind of stuff, they don't really care about fan art or anything like that. They care about things like subscription services, like, you know, the online that happened. But yeah, remember that launched around then? The online came out, they definitely got a lot of money from it, and people are buying in because, well, they're pretty confident Nintendo's going to turn in some pretty good numbers, since we'll probably be hearing about that at the end of October, as this does fall into that fiscal quarter. In which case, yeah, we're going to find out that they made a bunch of money just because, like, it's a lot of profit to make. And when that launched, you'll also notice nothing burned down. Nothing crashed. Everything went a lot smoother than it should have for Nintendo and online. So, no, I don't think Bowsette had anything to do with it. I know that's an online internet meme right now. It's a big online fan art thing happening, but it doesn't actually have any effect on the stocks. The stocks have to do with money, and Nintendo definitely made a lot of money. People are anticipating some big gains being reported in the fiscal report at the end of October. So they're getting in now while they can before it even jumps up higher. In fact, maybe it is worth jumping in because, yeah, they're going to report that they just made like, you know, $40-50 million just in profit just because they flipped the switch and now online costs money. So there you go, look forward to that. And to add a little more backing to the Castlevania collection that we saw at the Korean ratings board, well, the ESRB has also rated it, only for the PS4 as well, which is weird because I'm almost positive this collection is coming to the Nintendo Switch. Maybe Nintendo wants to announce it on their time, so I don't know, maybe they want to put up a trailer on their own, maybe it's going to be Switch branded in some way, right? Maybe there's, I don't know, some kind of mini direct or something at some point in time, hard to say, but here's the ESRB rating because they also gave us a description saying, this is a collection of 2 action platformers in which players assume the role of a vampire hunter battling Dracula and other creatures from a side-scrolling perspective. Players traverse Dracula's castle to kill fantastical enemies, zombies, demons, etc. Characters use whips, swords, axe, and magic to defeat enemies. Pixelated blood is depicted when players, character, and creatures are killed. Some attacks result in decapitation, dismemberment, etc. It does look like, though, from what we've seen, it is Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night, which makes me wonder if Symphony of the Night would be on that PS1 classic if they're doing a collection. I would hope so. Symphony of the Night was a pretty big deal back then on the PS1, so I'd hope that make it into the PS1 classic. But yeah, it looks to be happening. Usually these ratings happen close to when it's ready to be revealed, so this could just pop up online at any time. Seriously, Konami could just randomly announce it and say, hey guys, Castlevania Collection's coming to, you know, PS4, Switch, PC, or Xbox be thrown in there as well, and, you know, it's $30. I'm thinking Konami, it's $30, you know, there. $30, it's 2 games, redone visual style and everything, so we'll look forward to it, but I'm surprised it hasn't been announced yet. I was positive TGS was going to be where it was going to happen, but maybe they have something else worked out. We'll have to keep an eye out. Next up, let's talk about a game or an IP that a lot of people have probably forgotten about because it was not even really popular when it showed up. Got good reviews back on the GameCube, but it didn't really have any sales. Like, no one really bought it. It was kind of a game that went under the radar when RPGs, I think, were at like almost an all-time high during the PS2 era. But that is actually Baten Kaitos. This was an odd game back in the day. It was a bit different from typical RPGs when I was playing like Skies of Arcadia, for example, on the GameCube, or they also had Tales of Symphonia, Paper Mario, right? These were games that I would play, and then here comes Baten Kaitos, and it just shows up, and it's different. You would actually indirectly control the characters through decks of cards that you would essentially build. They were called, I believe, Magnus cards. It was odd, but it was kind of neat. And the reason this is showing back up in the news is because there was a third one that never came to be. There was also the DS version that was canceled. But the art director from Monolith Soft wants to do it. They even put out on Twitter that Bandai Namco has the IP. They're the ones who would have to basically greenlight this thing, and this is what he said. It's been 10 years since the release of Baten Kaitos 2, and it pains me to continue getting requests for a sequel. Since enough time has gone by, I think it's okay to talk about it a bit. Right after the release of Baten Kaitos 2, I was working on a sequel at Namco, now Bandai Namco, and we were on to pre-productions. However, before Baten Kaitos 3 could become a reality, talk between involved parties ended due to circumstances. Had we released the game, it would have been something grand and would take you to the bottom of the seas, the earth, and the sky. Bandai Namco still has a lot of my planned work that's been sealed away. For those of you requesting a sequel, don't just ask Monolith Soft and myself, but Bandai Namco as well. So this game apparently exists in some pre-production form, but Bandai Namco would be the one that would have to say, yeah, let's do it, let's make this thing. So apparently, if you want another Baten Kaitos game, the third one, I guess, the one that's already been at least thought about. Maybe, I bet you there's some cool artwork and stuff sealed away. It's probably not necessarily halfway done or even anything like that, but I'm sure like the story, the setting, as he's talking about going to like the sea, the sky and everything, all of that's probably been figured out. But I think the thing that's giving Bandai Namco cold feet is the fact that it didn't sell in the first place back on the GameCube. So would people even remember it now, and would it be worth the money? You know, I'd like to see that. I would just like to see what they can do with it, with the newer hardware and everything. And, I mean, if it's going to help them any, put it on everything. You know, PC, Xbox, PS4, Switch. Just throw a big net and hope that you catch something, you know? Just do what you can. I would like to see this happen. I think we are in kind of an upswing for JRPGs, right? Dragon Quest XI topping charts, Octopath Traveler topping charts, the Persona 5 topping charts, and being nominated last year for Game of the Year. I think it can get away with it. I think it's time, and, you know, Bandai Namco, let's get Baten Kaitos going here. Guys, apparently you just need to ask him for it, is what we're hearing. And our last bit of news, let's finish up with Telltale Games very quickly. We did hear about what they were planning to do with Walking Dead. Originally, they canceled it, then they find out that there are parties that are interested, as we talked about earlier. And now we're hearing that Stranger Things isn't necessarily canceled. It's not done. Originally, they were going to be working on Stranger Things alongside Netflix. There was that partnership that was announced, and they're also working on a Minecraft story mode thing with Netflix that's apparently still happening. That's like their last project that the crew of 25 is kept on for. No, Stranger Things, according to Netflix, they're exploring their options without Telltale Games is what it sounds like. So maybe they're finding another studio that can do it, but Netflix wants this to happen. Stranger Things is something that, of course, has a following, and it might be worth investing in getting it done, even if Telltale Games can't do it. Netflix, I think, would be very, very smart to maybe build their own studio. It might cost a bit of money, but for them to hire on people to develop it internally and release it on Netflix. I mean, think about what we're talking about here. We're talking about an interactive movie, right? I mean, sure, there are parts where you control your character and walk around and stuff, but if they kind of play around with it, it's nothing you can't do with, say, a remote, and it's certainly something that could be streamed without too much issue, as input lag isn't exactly needed. You know, it's not a big deal for something like a an interactive movie where you choose your own adventure, essentially, that would be, I think, better for Netflix to do it that way, and if they just put it through their service, and hey, look, guys, instead of putting a bunch of money, millions of dollars into that movie that no one cares about, or that series that people aren't watching, let's try something with a game like this, and we'll put it out and see what happens. That could be a way in for Netflix to literally start publishing video games on their service that are interactive movies. It was something I thought about. I thought it'd be a neat idea as they explore kind of around Stranger Things, but let me know what you think of the idea of Netflix possibly putting these type of games on their service. I think it's kind of an interesting way for them to branch out, but let me know. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit the like button if you enjoyed it, dislike it if not. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's the Bowsette thing just taking over. Doesn't appear to be affecting the stock in any positive or negative way. It just seems to be taking over Twitter and most of the internet, at least for the time being, until the next big trend, I guess, pops up. Also, let me know what you think about Telltale. Would you like to see Walking Dead get to the finish line through publishers or maybe THQ Nordic or somebody else coming in that's willing to spend the money? Let me know about that. And then what about Stranger Things? What about the idea of Netflix possibly publishing games on their service? I'm very curious, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.